Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Tuesday night. It's the Full Send Racing Series for race number 14 this evening. Thank you once again for joining with us as we get ourselves prepared for some crucial racing action in Xfinity cars. At Season 5, we've had a lot of new winners bubbling up, and speaking of new winners, that's what we got last week with Will Bustler grabbing his first win. But tonight, it's time to gamble it all down for the Next Level Racing 200 at Las Vegas, where drivers are going to be on top of one another and seeing who can find themselves into victory lane. Hey, we're starting a little bit earlier than what we've done in the past couple of weeks, but we are excited to talk about all the information coming into tonight's race, starting off with myself. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is going to be Trevor Earhart and Robert Moyer Jr. Rain Productions in the background. Trevor, after last week, Will Bustler stealing the win at the end, the one machine, honestly a surprise winner that not a lot of people were expecting to have at Talladega. Hey, he's now one of the newest winners and going to be our 8th different winner this season.
Yeah, newest winner was pretty well in the playoffs as it was with his points, but locks himself in with that win last week, leaving us with only 2 races to go before we get to that playoff cutoff line here tonight at Las Vegas, and then next week at Richmond. Sam, and pressure's getting ramped up for these drivers on the outside looking in.
There's a few drivers that are in a must-win scenario now because Talladega really was the best opportunity for some drivers to get a win and didn't have to worry about the pressures of the last 2 races of the regular season, being tonight at Las Vegas and next week at Richmond. And those drivers to watch out for: Andrew Medlin, Brandon Colley, also Cedric Hunter. Those are some favorite drivers that are still looking for their first win and are looking pretty well out of a point standings push to try to point their way into the playoffs, and drivers that are fighting against one another on to stay inside of our top 12. John Dart, 12th in points. He's got a 28-point buffer, but he only has a good buffer of around that of 3 spots of points over Chris Stitz. And then Stitz only has 4 points over Joshua Altus, 10th in points. Those 3 drivers so close. And if we see one of those that are outside looking in find themselves in a victory lane, those 3 are hunting on who's getting knocked out of the playoffs and who may stay in.
Yeah, and looking at who's outside, I mean, you got the heavy hitters, like you mentioned, Andrew Medlin, Brandon Colley, Cedric Hunter. I mean, those 3, just looking through the list, have been the 3 of the fastest of the guys that aren't inside the top 12 already. So 2 races, 2 different winners potentially. I mean, that could really shake up the standings going in. It's going to come down to if Altus, Stitz, and Dart, if they can outpoint themselves if we get 2 different winners.
I would say the same thing here, Trevor, of it's looking like these drivers all needing a lot of good points for themselves, but drivers we got to also keep note of. Driver with the most wins, Brian McCann, with 4 wins for himself. Also with 2 wins is going to be Cameron Sarton, Zach Hall. But I'm curious on how the 8 machine is going to be running here, because that of Brian McCann has kind of been in what we would call a slump for himself. He's been a top 5 contender each week, but could he find himself finally getting in the top 5? He's been outside looking in these last few races. But tonight at Las Vegas, it's going to be crunch time. A tough track here. We're going to be seeing a lot of pack racing. Like, how much is the dirty air going to influence these drivers as qualifying about to start here this evening for the Next Level Racing 200? And the driver you got to circle up of how can they get another pole? Travis Dart, the odds-on favorite to get a pole here tonight. He's gotten the pole here at Las Vegas the last 3 times they've been at this track the last 3 seasons. I mean, Trevor, going for 4 in a row would be impressive to see by the 26.
Yeah, it'd be a great qualifying effort from Travis. And one of those guys that's known to be really quick during qualifying. He's picked up the race pace this season, so same if he gets that pole, I expect him to be considered to be one of the favorites here tonight. But it's going to come down to track position. This track, one of the tougher tracks, pack racing, but hard to pass with that dirty air. So qualifying is going to be really important for these guys tonight.
A driver looking for potentially their second win of the season. The 15 on screen, Ken Campbell, as he's drifting it through 1 and 2, tries to hold on as he was on his first lap and it looks like he'll have to try to reset and find some extra speed. It's the 15, last driver to win here last season in Season 4. Led the most laps, 117 of 133 laps. The 15 can be quick and strong. Watch out for what speed he's got. And as always, since talk about speed, well, here's one of the Texas Speed drivers, the 11 of Tyler Thomas, who Texas Speed, what an incredible Talladega run they had late last week. And now as a group, they're trying to find that extra speed. It's the 11 showing how out of control this car is on this hot and slick track.
Yeah, this track really difficult to get around quickly, really easy to get loose, especially down on 1 and 2. There's some pretty decent-sized bumps through 1 and 2 as Thomas gets loose through 3 and 4, and that's going to be his qualifying over. Does a great job keeping it out of the wall, but got to watch out for those bumps down in 1 and 2. They can really upset the car, and then 3 and 4, you're trying to hold it as wide open as you can. Really easy to get that car loose, as we've seen a couple of times already here in qualifying.
We have certainly has driver top of the board currently. It's going to be Ross Tatum in the 21 machine driver that won back in Season 3 at this track. As Cedric Hunter, the 3 drivers that we've circled up in kind of a must-win scenario in this 7 machine, trying to find a way to get himself into victory lane. And I was looking also at some of the drivers, that we mentioned, Andrew Medlin, Brandon Colley, as well as Cedric Hunter. Hunter is in the window of starting tonight's race where he'll have himself 13 starts. That is the minimum of starts that you need to have. And re-looking at it, missed call. Andrew Medlin actually is in a must-point situation. Even with starting tonight's race and next week's race, the 12 machine would not have enough starts for his win to count. So he is in a massive point deficit. But hey, you never know what you can find if he wins out this week and next week.
Yeah, you never know. You get those wins, get the stage points. If you maximize the stage points, get the win, might find himself closing in that 28-point gap that he's got to get into the playoffs. But he's got to really hope that the guys that are, right there on the outside looking in don't get that win and take him out of contention to maybe point his way into the playoffs.
Ryan Lynch in the 3 machine, just finishing out his qualifying time and bounces up to 10th place on the board. Solid qualifying run for the 3. As Travis Dart, driver we thought was maybe going to go for 4 in a row, instead will fall short. He'll qualify 3rd as Brian McCann has top of the board. As the driver that got pole last week is Andrew Medlin, exit out of 4. His final time around the track, across the line. And the Special Olympics machine only able to get up to 6th place for himself. Still a solid qualifying attempt for himself, but that top tier level that we're expecting to see for some of these drivers as Sam Siegel and also Philip Chavez going to be the last 2 drivers out on track as the 55, his last time across the line. As the 55 wasn't able to get that first lap validated. His second lap, though, going to be a little bit better and placing him higher up on the board. It looks like that lap as well will be invalidated for Sam Siegel and for Philip Chavez, both struggling on their first and second lap.
Yeah, not something you typically talk about in an oval racetrack, but here at Las Vegas, really easy to drift up into the outside wall out of turn number 2, out of turn number 4, as you just kind of let the car, drift out of the corner. But really easy to scrape up into that wall, get yourself that dreaded 0x that invalidates your lap time. So for both of those drivers, going to have a long night ahead of them coming from the back of the field.
As qualifying is coming to a conclusion, drivers are still out on track, just getting a little bit of more practice, getting into their pit stall as qualifying has got 5 more seconds left. Thank you so much for joining with us once again here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Tuesday night as the Full Send Racing Series. It's the second to last regular season race here at Las Vegas, and the drivers are set and prepared to see who can topple this course for the Next Level Racing 200. As the drivers start to grid up, we get ready to take a look at where the qualifying results are for these drivers up front. As this race number 14 gets prepared, 133 laps here this evening. We will have a stage break at the end of lap 40. No fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. And your pole sitter starting off tonight is the 8 machine of Brian McCann. As well, going to be to his outside, the 21 of Ross Tatum. Travis Dart, who's been quick here, but still searching for a win for himself this season. The 26 will be in 3rd. 4th goes to Alex Jones. Brandon Colley in 5th. John Dart 6th. 7th goes to Andrew Medlin, with Brandon Pierce in 8th, with Chris Ditz in that of 9th place. In 10th will be William Duff.
Cedric Hunter will start in 11th with Ken Campbell in 12th. Ryan Lynch will be in 13th with Will Bustler starting in 14th. Stephen Bustler will start in 15th with Chris Melton down there in 16th. Cameron Sarton will be in 17th with Jonathan Burt in 18th. Tony Brent will be 19th, and Tyler Thomas will be in 20th.
21st, the 10 machine of Jay Beckard with Christopher Norris all the way down in 22nd position. Zach Hall going to be back in 23rd. Philip Chavez in 24th. Sam Siegel in 25th. David McConnell in 26th spot, with Curtis Valechka in 27th, Harrison Gerwitz in 28th, and 29th would be Peter Dillon. A lot of drivers deciding not to qualify. Kind of a surprise to see. Some, like we noted on, not able to even get a time to count as there was invalidated times that were thrown out, but surprising to see all the drivers from Zach Hall on back from 23rd to 29th not qualifying here, Trevor. I'm curious on what the mindset is for those drivers starting in the back.
It could be interesting mindsets of why. Maybe they don't feel comfortable in the opening laps of how this car is going to handle. Maybe expecting a pile up in the first couple of laps, don't want to be involved in that. Or maybe just trying to get some data for Zach Hall. I mean, already secured into the playoffs. Maybe just trying to get some data on what this car can do in a long run on a mile and a half back in traffic in case he needs that for later on. But we're going to have to wait and see, Sam, as we're rolling off here to get this race started.
Tonight's race, we're also going to be having 2 driver cams to look at, and our pole sitter going to be Brian McCann, one of our 2 drivers. Andrew Medlin going to be the second driver with the camera of seeing how these drivers react with in-person and to in-sim, how you're going to be focusing the steering wheels. And for Brian McCann, trying to aim for his 5th win this season. And what a rookie season Brian McCann's had. I mean, he looked strong all the way back at the Clash before the season initially started. And he has just been quick on every single race we go to. Certainly a favorite to watch out for here this evening. With Ross Tatum to his outside. Ross, another driver we know, can be quick. Looking for a little bit of a changeup here.
Yeah, it could be quick. Looking for that changeup. Really quick on the long runs. Kind of struggled this season on the long runs, so looking to see what he can do. And then can McCann carry over on this incredible rookie season and get himself his 5th win of the season here at Las Vegas.
Get his 5th win, get the momentum. Playoffs right around the corner for these drivers, as it will be the first week of November when we start giving you some full send racing playoff action. Before then, we got to figure out who's winning these last 2 races of the season as we enter the restart zone. The Next Level Racing 200 is underway with Ross Tatum, Brian McCann roaring down into turn number 1.
McCann with a great jump over the 21 of Ross Tatum. He's going to be side by side with the 26 there of Travis Dart is ahead to 1 and 2. And this is where you got to be careful with cold tires. These cars are notorious for getting loose on those cold tires. And Tatum going to try to hold that momentum, keep that 26 pinch down there, and secure that 2nd spot as he does halfway down the back straightaway.
Changing up the scheme is going to be Travis Dart in that 26. Going to be in the black and red and white machine in 2nd place. A lot of drivers going similar schemes as they exit out of turn number 4. It all goes blue for Brian McCann as he crosses the line, leads lap number 1. And he's already going to be about 3/10 ahead of the rest of the field, who's trying to solidify. I'm happy to see that we took that first lap pretty calmly, and a lot of drivers further on back having some slight slides, but giving each other plenty of space to work with as Andrew Medlin, Chris Stitz down low, trying to get by that 39 machine.
Yeah, Medlin trying to get by the 5 there, side by side with John Dart. In the 5, got Chris Stitz right behind him, and then the 39 of I believe it's Brandon Pierce filling in this week for Doug as he's getting as he's recovering from, or is he starting his break from the season. But right now Medlin just trying to hold on to see what he can do. Car looks a little tight though on him, Sam, there through the center of the corner, as he might give up this spot down the back straightaway.
Looking very tight off the exit of the corners, and that's going to be something that we're going to see a lot of. It's loose in, tight off, it looks like. Drivers coming into these corners, trying to use as much speed as they can. The rear end not feeling comfortable off the exit as we switch over toward Andrew Medlin cam for the 12 machine. And that is going to be 08 on your ticker, 39 on screen. Brandon Pierce, like we said, filling in for Doug Pierce, who is calling it a season for himself as he's got prior obligations that he has to worry about. As we look around this 12 machine and seeing them still side by side, this pack racing effect. We're 4 laps in. But Trevor, this isn't going to last forever if these drivers staying this close to one another.
Eventually the tires will start to wear out on these guys and they'll start falling back through the field and get single filed out. But this is one of the nice things about Vegas. It allows this kind of pack racing mentality for the first 10, 15, 20 laps of a run. And then it comes down to those guys who were able to save tires they'll start working their way up through the field when the handling really starts to get away from him, and there goes Brandon Pierce. He gets loose into the 45 of Alex Jones and hard contact on the inside wall.
And Jones back up in the field in hard contact for Jay Beckert, who comes flying in late as the 45 just kept the car rolling as it was spinning viciously to the inside wall and back up to the running course and collecting a few other drivers with them as Jay Beckert required damage after that hard collision after the initial spin. And as well, Alex Jones going to pit road immediately after the 10 collects into that incident. And just these drivers making slight contact. You're going to see the 39, the 45 just quote-unquote wind action as they got close off the exit of the corner, and both drivers trying to give each other space, and there's not much you can do. And the worst spot you could hit on the backstretch, that of Alex Jones hits, as he's trying to stop the car from moving back up in the field, but it was such a hard collision, it set him back up, and Jay Beckert just nowhere to go, and a hard smash for the 10 machine.
Yeah, just really nowhere for Becker to go at all in that incident. And, I mean, that's just a tough break for the 10 machine and nothing he could do there. And out for Alex Jones, I mean, just like you said, the win, quote unquote, off of turn number 2 gets the 39 loose into him, and then like you mentioned, the worst angle since the 45 right back up the racetrack, and Jay Becker, both their nights going to be done here early on.
As we're going to take a view of Jay Becker's spot, I mean, there really wasn't much that could happen here. Off the exit of the corner, those drivers make contact, and then it's just, you're trusting on where your vehicle's going to go. You see the white dot, bounces down, comes back up the field, but Jay Becker can't go down. He's side by side with another driver. There's no other place to go. I believe he was side by side with Tyler Thomas, so if Becker did make the initial jolt to the inside, might have hit the 11, and that could have been even worse damage. Instead, he took the collision, thought maybe there was going to be enough space to squeeze through, and instead, that's the night for the 10 and the 45 that are just going to sit in pit road and hope they can get their damage repaired before this race is done. As a couple of drivers entering pit road under this yellow, going to be topping off on fuel, Zach Hall as well as Peter Dillon. But Chris Stitz, the one driver to take one set of tires. They had 4 in pit road to work with here tonight, and it looks like the 17 wants to use one of the 4 here within the first 10 laps of the race.
Aggressive call there from Stitz, Sam. Kind of surprised. I mean, 5 laps green, coming down and taking 4 fresh tire stages at lap 40. So maybe playing a little bit of tire strategy, but that's a lot of cars he's got to get through. And then coming into tonight, only 31 points to the good over that of Andrew Medlin. So interesting call there from Stitz.
I think also it could be a thought of, I'm trying to outpoint some of the other drivers around me, such as John Dart, Joshua Altus. I want to get those stage points. I'm going to use my tires now. Maybe I can help myself to get inside of our top 10 later on in this race. As our stage break for our top 10 drivers, at the end of the stage, we'll get bonus points in that stage, as we'll be at the end of lap 40. So the drivers still have quite a bit to run, but obviously some feeling like those tires are going to be important. Others thinking fuel could be important for themselves, maybe to stabilize this car as we get to this restart. Lights are off. We're about to get rolling is the field. I mean, Trevor, those first couple of laps, Brian McCann took off like a rocket ship. But how are his tires going to look now after he gets his tires cooled off and get ready for this run?
I think he'll be okay. Clean air here at Vegas, typically really important. So I think Brian's going to be sitting pretty good. You know, it's going to be the guys who are really aggressive, trying to make moves through the field. That, I mean, even though it's only 5 laps, this track really notorious for wearing the tires. So those guys are going to have to be really cautious. And we're going back to being stacked up on top of one another. Tires have cooled off a little bit. Cars could be a little bit loose. So drivers are going to really have to be careful here in the first couple of laps.
Some drivers have been able to move up multiple positions. Some have stayed where they qualified, and the majority of the drivers inside of our top 5 have stayed put. John Dart up 2 spots. We'll see if the 5 machine can gain any more as we enter the restart zone. Pace car takes the hard left-hander to pit road. The Next Level Racing 200 is going to be back underway as they hit the restart zone. A little bit of a delayed restart, but Brian McCann still with a car length ahead over the rest of the field.
Yeah, another great jump there from McCann. It's going to be that battle again, side by side for second between Travis Dart, Ross Tatum. Last time out, Travis ended up losing this battle to the 21 as he came out of turn number 2. This time, Travis going to try to cover off the 21, but isn't able to slide up in time. But looks like he's got the momentum off the corner. He clears, and now it's going to be Brandon Colley side by side with John Dart into 3 and 4. Make that now side by side with the 21 of Ross Tatum as the 99 car on the move early on.
Just found some grip out of nowhere, and Colley takes the 2-for-1 special through 3 and 4, and he'll move up into 3rd place. And that was a very aggressive move by the 99 machine, and he had the grip to make it work, trusting that maybe he would have something to work with, especially on these restarts. Trusting on is the tires warm enough to allow you to have that grip, because we saw how loose these drivers can be under qualifying conditions. That move works out great as they're going to be single file for most of our top 10. Looking to be some movement going on for back for 6th place, as Andrew Medlin and Brandon Pierce going to be the drivers side by side with one another, as well on screen battling for 10th place is William Duff, and winner from last week, the 1, Will Bustler on the outside.
Yeah, William Duff, Will Bustler battling down there into 1 and 2. Duff taking the bottom. Bustler's electing to take that middle line. That's the nice thing about Vegas as well, Sam. 3 lines that you can run, the top, the middle, the bottom, giving these guys plenty of room to race around. Looks like Bustler going to be able to take that spot away on the outside and actually dive it to the inside of the 15. Ken Campbell down here in 3 and 4, trying to carry that momentum he got off of 2 to maybe another position here.
It's top to bottom, and that one using the momentum perfectly. Going to be just having a nose ahead as they cross the line. Wanting to slide himself into 9th place is the 1 Will Bustler. Also other drivers up ahead, 2nd place battling as Travis Dart under fire from the 99 to Brandon Colley. And Colley, I mean, he's had some runs and races where he thought he had chances to get into victory lane, caught up in late wrecks. This 99 recognizing tonight could be one of my best chances to get into victory lane. He's proven in other leagues for that Brandon Colley that he can be fast here at Las Vegas. He's want to show that speed here tonight for the Full Send Racing Series.
Yeah, in that must-win scenario, and you think back to the chances he had, looked really good at that of Martinsville, got caught up in a wreck late, and then got caught up in a wreck early, and then caught up in a bizarre restart incident late in that race that took him out of contention to win that. Had a shot at Indianapolis until he got blocked all the way into the grass down the back straightaway by Cedric Hunter in the 7, and now Colley looking for a chance to win and end himself into the playoffs up to 2nd place. And Travis Dart falling here a little bit is Ross Tatum in 21 able to get underneath him, and here comes his brother, the 5 of John Dart, looking to the inside going into turn number 1.
John Dart knows how to be quick here as well, and he's been very much getting quicker and quicker each race throughout this season. It's been a pleasure to watch John Dart kind of evolve as a driver these last couple of seasons on, someone that was known for, at moments, maybe having a good qualifying run once or twice a season, to now but periodically just always inside of our top 5, it feels like, every race we go to. Currently in that 5th place, qualified 6th, and John Dart looking good as they're about to be pressured as well by the likes of Andrew Medlin, Brandon Pierce, and Cedric Hunter, who's up 3 spots at the tail end of this pack.
Yeah, you're kind of curious to see how the pace is going to work out for the 12, the 39, and the 7. They seem to be a little bit less aggressive here on the start, along with the 26 Travis Dart. Dart's given up a couple of positions here. So as this run plays out, see how well they've done on tire saving. But right now, everybody kind of nose to tail, looking to see if the driver in front of them slips up. As we look back here, take the 24 camera Sark going for move on the 3 of Ryan Lynch through the tri-oval.
Using the travel, that's fair game to go down to, and drivers just have to trust that you're going to have space to come back onto the racing surface as that pass is made. 24 up to 12th place, up 5 spots for himself. One of the bigger movers of the day, biggest mover so far. It's the driver in 14th position. Christopher Norris is up that of 8 spots for himself, and now trying to set up how to get by Ryan Lynch currently. Do want to give some updates on drivers that were involved in our first caution of the day back at lap number 7. Alex Jones, Jay Becker, both caught up in a wreck with terminal damage for both vehicles. Thought maybe they'd sit in pit road and just get out there and get some points. Instead, both drivers have called it the night. We're down to just 27 drivers out on track. And one of the drivers under pit road, under that caution, decided to take tires. Chris Stitz only up to that of 18th position as we're right on board with a 00 of Steven Bustler in this machine, trying to work the outside lane.
Yeah, trying to work the outside lane, and right below him is going to be that 17 car, Chris Stitz, down there on the apron through the trial over there. But Steven Bustler using that outside lane, trying to get that momentum kept up in that 00 car. Right in front of them, I believe that's the 6th of Jonathan Hart. Bustler gets tight, almost into the wall, has to lift out, and you see the 17 of Chris Stitz go right by him on the back straightaway.
I mean, momentum is key here in Las Vegas. Any type of a blip or a misstep off the exited corners is going to be crucial on maybe losing 1, potentially 2 positions. And Trevor, I mean, this track, Las Vegas, there's a lot of other tracks you could try to say it's similar to, but probably one of the most unique mile-and-a-half tracks you could say, with the amount of banking there is at this course and how fast you can fly around here.
Yeah, it's really kind of on its own. I mean, you'd think similar to maybe a Kansas a Chicagoland, but it really kind of drives completely different than all those. You got the unique characteristics of the bumps down in 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. It's not as round as you typically think it is. Kind of a little bit sharper of a corner than what you would traditionally see. So it takes a little bit more of a lift to get around there. So a really fun track to drive around, and really kind of with the amount of different grooves that you can take, a really kind of driver's track.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a joy to see all the different vehicles. When you come to Las Vegas, you never know what type of racing is going to happen at the end of the race, but you know in the early and the restarts, pack racing is traditionally what you get to see, like on screen, drivers using multiple different lanes, trying to move forward, and the driver that's really on the move is the 17 of Chris Stitz, deciding to pit on lap 7. And right now we are seeing that advantage of tires, running about a 10. It's a 2/10 faster than the rest of the field. Each lap that passes by, even in dirty air. This 17 now up to 13th place and trying to crack the top 10. I mean, if this race stays green until the end of our stage, the end of lap 40 will be that lap. I think Stitz has got a good chance to maybe crack the top 5 here at this pace.
Yeah, looking really good. You know, I'd say I'm surprised, but not surprised that new tires. I wouldn't have thought with the little amount of laps that we ran before that first caution that it'd make that big of a difference. But apparently, 5 to 7 laps on tires is going to make a big difference here. And Stitz doing a great job working his way through the field, from the top of the racetrack to the bottom of the racetrack, getting these passes done. Just got by William Duff in the 77, now trying to close in on the 15 of Ken Campbell. And that's going to be for 11th. But then he's going to track down Will Bustler in the 1, who's about a half a turn ahead of where he currently is. But same at that pace, I think you're right. He could find himself maybe inside the top 5 before this is all said and done.
Already on 11th, now trying to make the pass for 10th as you see the 17 get by the 15 machine. You also might be noticing, hey, there's a lot of pink out there on track. Well, the drivers for October running a lot of pink on their vehicles to show their support for breast cancer awareness, as the pink ribbon is the awareness color and logo. So the drivers, majority of them have ran throughout this month different pink schemes, and right now, seeing some drivers run on the pink. Others, it's been their traditional colors, such as the 7 of Cedric Hunter, who's always, he's out there racing. We see the pink Hello Kitty machine. And Travis Dart, John Dart, both trying to move forward as Andrew Medlin's figured out how to split them in half. And the 7 trying to add more to that mixture.
Yeah, trying to get to the inside here out of turn number 2, but John's going to have that momentum down the back straightaway. Cedric's going to have to fall back in line. And at this point in the run, really kind of hard to run that bottom with those bumps. It upsets the car, makes it a little bit tight, has to get out of the throttle. Down here through 3 and 4, they're going to try to close back in as John got a pretty good run down the back straightaway, closed in on the rear bumper of the 12 of Andrew Medlin, as these 3 really kind of on top of one another here down past the start-finish line.
We need 25 laps start lap 25, but having so far into this run, yes, we had the yellow back at lap 7, but I'm curious on the fact that we're not seeing a lot more changing of different lanes. It's through 1 and 2, but 3 and 4, it seems like everyone is deciding that inside lane is where you need to run if you want to carry some good speed, as John Dart trying to work that middle groove, but he slots himself right back down to that inside line through the middle.
Yeah, it seems a little weird. Typically here in Vegas, you'll see these guys go up to that middle groove, that outer groove in 3 and 4, really carry that momentum. And John right there got a really good run out of turn number 4 using that middle groove, but just kind of nowhere to go as he closes in on the rear bumper of Andrew Medlin. Now we're going to try to use the middle groove here through 1 and 2. You see the 5 car all over the rear bumper of the 12, trying to get that run, but just nowhere to go for him as he's going to look to go to that middle groove again down here through 3 and 4.
Staying right on that seam on the top, and then drops down, trying to center up the 5 machine as soon as possible, gassing up the throttle, and with the run, get to the inside quarter panel is going to be John Dart heading down into turn number 1, and Medlin defensive line on the outside and expect a huge run, and he's already on the throttle and pulling away from the 5 just immediately. Andrew Medlin defending and not wanting to give up 5th place, and again, Andrew Medlin in a spot where he's 13th in points. There's not enough races for this 12 to start to have a win in your in system work for the 12 machine. He needs every single point if he's going to point his way into the playoffs.
Yeah, he needs all these points. Can't afford to give up any stage points here to these guys behind him and doing a great job. I think that's where you're going to have to be to make a pass late in a run. You're going to have to be on that outside line. You're going to have to find a way to get to the outside, especially if you're on the same tires as the guys around you. And that can make things interesting here as this race progresses. And right now, it just looks like it's difficult to pass for these guys, but Chris Stitz slowly starting, Sam, to catch this group ahead of him. as we look and see the 3 of Ryan Lynch trying to hold off the 38 of Christopher Norris.
Ryan Lynch having a little bit of a scare off the exit at turn 2. Had to go all the way down to the inside apron, and it's gifted Norris this position as the 38 closing in quickly on the 3 machine and trying to figure out where to place himself. This is the middle grooves where he wants to go. Is Cameron Sartin. Chris Stitz having a little bit of a scare because Stitz had a quick blink out, losing time and track position to drivers, and almost fell to the clutches of the 24 and running into one another.
Yeah, Stitz typically known for about 1 or 2 internet blinks a race, but looks like he's kind of back in it, and it doesn't look like any issues right now. But I mean, Sam, it's always a giant scare as a driver when somebody blinks out in front of you, especially when you're as close to the guys as you are here at Vegas. I mean, kind of throws you off from where you think they're gonna be and can cause an incident. I mean, we've seen it sometimes where guys blink back in, get spun across the nose, but thankfully no contact made between those two.
Yeah, there's a lot of different factors that can happen when a driver is having those issues, but a lot of speed up front. The battle for second place as Brandon Colley, who's been quickly trying to run down Brian McCann as fast as possible. Doesn't look like he'll run down in time as we find ourselves with 10 more laps to go in this stage. Gets the end of the stages. Yeah, the lap 40 for these drivers, but Ross Tatum, always known for saving his tires for later on in the run, and he's trying to figure out how to set up this 99 Barbie machine. Where does the 21 have to place himself to make this pass?
That's a good question. How does he make this pass if and when the opportunity opens itself up? I mean, they've closed in on the 8 of Brian McCann. They closed it down to a little under 1 second here, and both of those guys about a tenth quicker than McCann the last lap, and this time by Colley again a little bit faster as they continue to close in. And catching him's one thing, Sam. We've seen the 21 catch the 99. Passing him's going to be another thing. So how are they going to get that pass done? I think it's going to have to be around the outside, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
You trust that you have the tires to work on that outside lane. Again, you can throw it in there on the entry, but the exits where drivers have been having some scares as the 1 machine, Will Bussler, has really been moving forward quickly for himself as he's gotten by Cedric Hunter and now trying to set up how to get by that of Andrew Medlin and also get by John Dart. This one protecting his tires, and right now one of the bigger movers of the race on 7 spots, tied with Chris Stitz. Still Christopher Norris is the biggest mover with 9 positions, but Will Bussler's proving, hey, maybe you don't have the winning strategy to save tires and then push forward, but right now trying to gain some good points and positioning is the one.
Trying to get as many spots as he can here and really benefiting off that battle between Medlin and Jean Dart. He was able to get to the outside of the 5, gets that pass done through 3 and 4, now trying to convert that run to get around maybe the 12 of Medlin, but Medlin covers him off down here into 1 and 2. And Cedric Hunter now going to try to take the opportunity to get to the outside of the 5 with Dart, as Dart looks really tight off the corner, and he's going to have to give up that spot to the 7 as well.
Is up the positioning, and Will Bussler and Cedric Hunter able to move more forward past the 5 machine. As Will Bussler carrying the momentum, and I feel like Will's done this in past seasons. The last 2 seasons, this one, it seems like when he finally starts hitting a groove, maybe it's a top 5 finish, maybe it's a top 10 finish, he just compounds and grows from that moment, and he's doing just that here tonight after his win last week in Texas, trying to go for a top 5 run here before the stage is over, as we still have 6 more laps to go, about to be 5 when Brian McCann crosses the line.
Yeah, about to be 5 laps in the stage, but again, down here in this unenviable position of being stuck on the bottom, and you just see the difference in speed between being on that bottom and being on that middle groove, as Cedric Hunter just drives right around the outside of him, and behind him, Brandon Pearson, a little bit of a moment as he gets passed by the 38 of Christopher Norris.
And Norris is trying to move up and gain some bonus points as well, as he moves up to 12, and he's got his sights lingering on Ken Campbell and Chris Stitz, trying to get inside of a top 5 as William Duff qualified 10th. He's fallen now down to 10th. Fallen now down to 14. Brandon Pierce as well in the 39 on screen. 08 on our ticker. It's fallen back to 13th position. Couple of these drivers falling back, but still we know they can be quick as race control indicating to the drivers that you got 2 more laps before you can, if you want to pit. Otherwise, pits are going to be closed. You got to trust your fate that these tires are going to make it to the end of this run. And a huge shout out to race control means Steve Benjamin, who's been in race control all season long and as well helps out on Wednesday nights for the WSSR. And that's information, penalties, when laps counters are, and informing drivers to watch out, as right now this competition is ramping up and Cameron Sartin decided to join in the fray as the 24 trying to take a couple of spots as he's wooing the 5 forward.
Yeah, giving John Dart a little bit of a push down the front straightaway, trying to figure out where he wants to go in this battle. Just kind of know where to go for that 24 right now. Is John going to build that momentum up off the high side here out of turn number 2, get past the one of Will Bustler. He's going to drag the 24 of Cameron starting along with him down the back straightaway. They both clear the one of Bustler. Starting again, going to take that outside line and see if he can set up the 5 of John Dart, maybe here out of turn number 4.
Trying to get to that outside quarter panel or clear the one of Will Bustler. He'll clear Bustler, fall in line, down to the apron. Instead, we'll give the bunt draft to the 5 machine on the front stretch. See how much speed they can carry and try to run down Andrew Medlin as Medlin. Also Hunter, they are almost door banging through the center of 1 and 2. Exit the corner, the 12's got the run. And also for John Dart, he holds back Cameron Sarton as this grouping of 5, the great battling for 5th, back to 8th place, back to 9th. It's been a good group of 5 drivers putting on a show.
Yeah, been a really good battle between these guys. And the one guy that I expected to see up here was going to be the 17 of Chris Stitz, but Sam, he's fallen off. Kind of abused those new tires and really struggling now, but these 4 still battling side by side. Brian McCann with about a 7/10 of a second lead. Here as we see on screen, just kind of driving away, cruising to what could potentially be a stage win, and Colley still trying to chase him down, but Sam, I think he's going to run out of laps.
Yeah, Colley just needs a couple of more laps to work with, and I think he would have caught the 8 of Brian McCann. As McCann exit out of turn number 4. Top 10 drivers get stage bonus points. 10th gets the most. First gets the most, and that's Brian McCann, who's going to grab 10 bonus points for this 8 machine as the stage yellow comes out. A little bit of swap in, John. 8th place right when the yellow flag came out, but this 8, confident, comfortable, and this is exactly the type of a race Brian McCann needs with the playoffs right around the corner.
Yeah, build that momentum back up. Like you said, kind of struggled the last couple of weeks, and this is what he needs. Get the stage win in a really dominant performance. I led the first 41 laps of this race, and I'm sure he's feeling pretty good, Sam, about the early portion of this race.
Yeah, he's got to be feeling great for himself as he takes a little bit of a swipe and gets swiping off a little bit of the sweat as those 40 laps are in the books. And for us, we're going to step away for a quick moment as when we come back, it's going to be more racing action. No longer will there be stage racing. It's about who's going to get the win for the Full Send Racing Series. Race number 14 here tonight for the Next Level Racing 200 at Las Vegas. So far, we've only had 1 on-track incident, 1 stage break yellow, and it's time to see who's going to get the win. We'll find out right after this. They're 5 wide behind for 5th.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's
Bottom line, here it comes.
I
Oh,
know,
that's
Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crumford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to dive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck
Oh,
him.
they wrecked! They wrecked each other! The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they gotta be careful. Oh no! The 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Full Send Racing Series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting Tuesday night for the Next Level Racing 200 at Las Vegas. Currently, Brian McCann has led every lap, and he's going to try to carry on with that feat here this evening. Got the pole, and he has been quick. Right now, we got a ton of other drivers trying to figure out how to beat this 8 machine. With that, Brandon Colley as well as Ross Tatum settling directly behind. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Trevor Earhart. We're Harper Memorial Junior Racing Productions in the background. And Trevor, that first stage, really picture perfect for Brian McCann. But the rest of the field, I think they were starting to get a little bit of knowledge on how they want to run the rest of this race.
Yeah, get a good 40 lap gauge on what the tires are going to be like, how they can make passes, how they can't make passes. So use that as a learning advantage. And for Brian McCann, I think it's about getting a good restart here, getting back out in that clean air, and then letting these guys behind you try to figure out how to run you down and get back by you. Brandon Colley came close, got it to within 0.6 of a second, Sam. But that 8 machine, I think as long as he's in clean air, I think he's going to be hard to get by here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also another big thing to watch out for is how do these drivers want to react, knowing that there are no more stage racing. These drivers now are going to be racing to the end of this run, and for Brandon Colley and Cedric Hunter, they're both in a practically must-win scenario if they want to make the playoffs, and both are looking fast. But they got to beat the most winningest driver this season, being Brian McCann. McCann comes into tonight with 4 wins, and he's topped the board if you look at points overall by quite a large margin over Cameron Sarton and Zach Hall. As speaking of those other drivers, last season's champion Zach Hall only back in 15th place, Cameron Sarton in 11th. They both have a lot of work if they want to move forward. And also, what is Chris Stitz going to do in the 17 machine? How well is he going to work to try to crack back into the top 10? Well, the driver's set. We're stacked up side by side, about to exit turn number 4 as we get ourselves prepared for the last dash to figure out who's winning here for race number 14 of the season as they enter the restart zone. Brian McCann, Brandon Colley, the Next Level Racing 200 is back underway with the 8 already gone from the rest of the field.
Another great jump there, but also a good start from the 99 of Brandon Colley. He's not going to have to worry about doing battle with anybody down into turn number 1. Instead, it's going to be the battle for 3rd between Ross Tatum and the 21, the 12 of Andrew Medlin. Tatum going to try to use that momentum on the bottom side, the shorter way around the track. He's going to clear the 12 of Andrew Medlin. Maybe take a look to the inside of the 99 of Brandon Colley. Backs off. But here comes Cedric Hunter, and the 7 going to look it to the inside of the 12 machine.
Drivers recognizing how impactful these early couple of laps with fresh rubber are. You want to make these passes early, efficiently, and then start saving your rubber for late in the run. And some drivers recognizing it is go time, such as the 7 of Cedric Hunter, already trying to bounce his way forward, but kind of trapped at this current moment. John Dart was outside, Medlin on the inside, and no draft help on the backstretch. It's just head backwards right now for the 7 machine. It's our top 2. McCann, Colley, they continue to try to pull away as the rest of the field side by side and almost thinking about 3 wide.
Almost about 3 wide there, and Cedric Hunter got a little bit loose out of turn number 4 on the opening lap. Andrew Medlin right there clipped the apron through the middle of 3 and 4, almost drifted up into the 5 of John Dart. That's actually going to allow the 7 of Cedric Hunter to get that position away from him, almost 3 wide behind him, but the Dart brothers going 3 wide. They're thinking about going 3 wide with Will Bustler, but Travis backs out of that instead and might have to give up a position to the 15 of King Campbell, as all these guys stacked up on top of one another still.
And also starting to see Freaky Fast Racing trying to move forward as a group. Ken Campbell, also Christopher Norris trying to find their way to catch up to their teammate of Andrew Medlin, who Medlin continues to try to fend his way forward. 15 and the 38 currently trying to settle themselves in a comfortable spot as Cameron Sarton not able to advance at all, still stuck in 11th since the restart and working that outside groove as Travis Dart, he once was battling for up inside of our top 5. Well, he slid through his box under our last yellow flag pit stops in 26, losing over 3 positions. Now he's got a wall to try to get through.
Yeah, he's got a lot of drivers he's got to get back by, starting with the one of Will Bustler, and they're going to be still side by side going into turn number 1. Right behind them, Cameron Sarton side by side with Kim Campbell, but Campbell all the way up the racetrack through 1 and 2, almost got up into the outside wall, but he hangs on to it. But Travis Dart still doing battle with the one of Will Bustler, going to have that momentum down the back straightaway. We got to worry about where does that 5 place his car. Does he cut off this run from the 26? Looks like the 5 of John Dart going to place his car right there in the middle, drop down late, and that might check up the 26 just enough to allow Will Bustler to continue this battle down the front stretch.
Side by side action going on for 3rd position. Andrew Medlin, Ross Tatum, as well as out of the pink machine of Cedric Hunter directly behind, trying to pick and choose where to go. And Tatum's in that tricky spot where he'd like to save his tires, but if he gets trapped behind other drivers, saving rubber really is going to be just nullified. The amount of work that it's going to take to get past some of this crew as the 21 stays low and now starting to head backwards again.
Yeah, down to 4th, potentially maybe 5th. As here comes John Dart in the 5. Gonna try to use that momentum to get by him on the outside. Cedric Hunter not gonna waste any time though, as he's gonna go to the inside of Andrew Medlin down into 1 and 2 as we're on board with the one of Will Bustler. You can see it just up ahead of him as Cedric Hunter gets that position away from him. And here goes Travis Dart, gonna try to drive it to the outside of the 21 of Ross Tatum, who's really looking like he's trying to save tires here.
It's a freight train. Everyone on the outside able to drive by this 21 machine. He is gifting every spot, and you can tell that he liked to fight, but tires, mind of the 21, always more important, especially on the fact that he's already got his win. He's locked into the playoffs. Might as well try some sneaky tactics on figuring out what's going to work, what's not going to work for the 21, as Will Bustler, one of the bigger movers so far, currently up 6 spots from where he qualified up to 8th place, but Will was probably one of the faster drivers making the charge late in that end of the stage at the end of lap 40. So watch out for this one. If he can find a way to save tires and stay this close to the front runners, it might be one of the shockers to watch out for, as we see the 39 on screen, 05 on our ticker. That's Brandon Pierce, who's currently battling Christopher Norris back for the 12th position.
Yeah, back there in 12th, just going to kind of fall in line behind Norris, who's right behind the 17 of Chris Stitz. King Campbell not too far in front of them, and these four kind of pulling away there from the 77 of William Duff, then the 32 of Zach Hall back there behind them. That's going to be the, I believe, 14th and 15th position. And then you got Jonathan Burt there in the 6th, not too far off of him. So the field kind of starting to spread out here just a little bit, Sam, as we get this run going.
Yeah, I would say probably the majority of the middle to back half of the field kind of giving each other plenty of space to work with. Our top 13 continuing to stay on top of one another, not giving any space for each other, but it's the back half of the field that's giving each other some threats. It's 19th all the way back to that of 25th position that are on top of one another, and it's always a pleasure to watch them go back and look at the back half of the field. How are these drivers that are still learning how to find that quick speed or just try to survive a full race, on what things are they trying to attack on one another in the early portions of the race? We're still in that first third of the run. The drivers are trying to take every position possible. As Philip Chavez able to get by the 55 of Sam Siegel and trying to slot into the 22nd position, the 21st position, but not able to, is the 101. As these drivers continue to battle side by side back for 21st position. We also want to give a huge shout out to some of the amazing sponsors here for the Full Send Racing Series, that being ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. ButtKicker is a solid object that you attach to your racing rig or to your seat. It allows you to feel the sounds, not just hear them. Get yourself more immersed in the racing action around you with a ButtKicker. Thanks so much for being one of the major sponsors for the Full Send Racing Series. And talked about attaching it to a racing rig. Well, that's when you head on over to Next Level Racing. Next Level Racing has racing rigs for you to elevate your racing abilities, feel like you're in an actual car, with seating setups that are for the budget, help you out with your bank account, or for the more expensive and make you feel like you're practically in a racing setup. Go to Next Level Racing and check out which racing rig you'd like to level up with. And as well, with getting your ButtKicker and Next Level Racing, for some drivers, they like to get themselves a button box, and that's when you go to GurSim Studios. Go to GurSim Studios on Etsy and see their wide range of button boxes to allow you to find your way through your black box on iRacing. Or if you're an admin, help you be more efficient on calling yellows or clearing black flags. Thank you to the 3 major sponsors with us. And in 15th position, it's William Duff. And a huge sponsor that also helps out is the On the Throttle podcast, giving you a recap of NASCAR and racing related topics throughout the week. It's a weekly podcast that gives you the conversations of what regular racing fans are thinking about. Go listen to On the Throttle podcast today on how they thought the upcoming playoffs situation is looking like on NASCAR. Well, that's going to be our 4 major sponsors so far. Trevor, 60 laps in the books. Still, it's Brian McCann and Brandon Colley, but Colley, he's now fallen back to less than over a second back from the 8 machine.
Yeah, he got up there to about 7/10 and now kind of dropped back. I don't know if he's trying to save maybe a little bit of tire. Looking at the lap times, I mean, he's running fairly similar lap times to that of Brian McCann. This time about a 10th quicker than that 8 machine. So Colley maybe going with a little bit of tire saving, but a second, about 1.2 seconds the gap between those two. It's going to be interesting to see if he can run him back down like he did there toward the end of the stage break. But he's got some hungry drivers trying to close in on him with Cedric Hunter, John Dart, trying to get back up there, and Ross Tatum trying to make a couple of moves to get some of those positions that he lost back.
I would agree. Those are some hungry drivers trying to run them down, but this is kind of the window that Brandon Colley was in. He was staying about a second to 1.2 seconds away from Brian McCann for most of the run. It wasn't until about 30 to 35 laps into the long run that we saw that switch of Brandon Colley really catching up to Brian McCann. So Colley's just got to hold out for another 10 to 15 more laps, keep the distance close, and we might see that swing. It's Ross Tatum talking about the swing, 21. Fell back to 7th at one moment. He's trying to push his way forward, crack back into the top 5, and Will Butler trying to do the same tactic as that 21.
Yeah, those battling right there. Ross Tatum getting by the 26 of Travis Dart. Here comes Butler to the inside of Andrew Medlin, 24 Cameron Sargent. He's going to look to maybe follow this one machine, but not close enough. Is that battle between Butler and Medlin still going to continue out of turn number 2? Medlin's going to have that momentum, though, off the top side. I get kind of checked up here by the 26 of Travis Dart, who's starting to fall back just a little bit, but Travis is going to take it all the way to the bottom and give that top line to the 12 of Medlin, who's going to try to continue that momentum here off of turn number 4.
They've got to be careful with all this battling side by side. It's giving Cameron Sargent a chance to maybe force the issue and go 3 wide as that 12 and the 1 in close. Ken Campbell also getting into the mix on where to place themselves. As if you're just joining us, well, welcome to the show on Tuesday nights for the Full Send Racing Series. This is the second to last race of the regular season, and we've got a good showing here with the pink machines heading on to the fray. The 12 of Andrew Medlin, Will Butler, they got to be worried about the 2-time champ of the 24, Cameron Sargent, who's going to duck the inside lane. And yeah, now for Sargent, he's kind of almost boxed in by all of Freaky Fast Racing as Medlin in the 12, the 15 of Ken Campbell, the 38 of Christopher Norris, putting the pressure on our 2-time champ.
Yeah, putting the pressure on. He shoved the one of Will Butler clear of the 12 of Andrew Medlin. Now going to see if he can use this bottom line to work his way past the 12 machine as well. Norris going to go up there and try to give maybe a little bit of assistance to his teammate, but looks like Sargent's car really hooked up well as he drives right past the Andrew Medlin. Now going to drive it to the outside of the one of Will Butler, seeing that 24 machine looking really quick.
He found an opening, shipped it, sent it, and hoped that it was going to stick as the 24. Medlin didn't back out just slightly. That could have gone horrendously bad, but instead the 24 here is clear, and he takes off on the outside and able to clear by the one of Will Butler. Now up to 7th place for one of our biggest movers so far here tonight, being Cameron Sargent. His next driver in front, it's the Dart brothers, Travis and John Dart. As the 26 really just looking like a sitting duck with the way we're seeing this 24 ride as we hit the halfway marker.
Yeah, he's using that bottom line to really get up underneath these cars, and looks like he's got enough grip, Sam, to make these passes still work for himself down here in 1 and 2. Going to get a little bit tight, though, off the corner. But I think Travis having to back out just a little bit is going to allow Cameron Sargent there to get that position done. Can slide up when he needs to. Going to clear up in front of that 26 machine. Another position gain. Now just has to run down the 5 of John Dart. The 21 of Ross Tatum now in front of him.
Now trying to make the push forward. These drivers line up, get prepared. We're inching closer and closer to lap 7 for this field. Brian McCann still leading the charge, but his gap's starting to dwindle away, and we're now starting to see that swing of drivers that used up their tires, starting to lose some of that heat. Those were protecting and defending, starting to move forward. It's that long train of just everyone trying to go forward from 4th all the way back to around 14th position. being led by Ross Tatum, who's trying to pull this string along. As you see that last season champion Zach Hall and as well fill-in driver of Brandon Pierce battling for 12th place.
Yeah, those two battling back there. And this is about where Brandon Pierce has been all night long, about 10th to about that of 14th position. Zach Hall working his way from the back of the field after electing not to qualify, trying to work his way forward. Right in front of him, his teammate of Andrew Medlin, who's really kind of struggling here, Sam, as we get in about halfway into this run. That 12 machine starting to go backwards as his teammate looks here to the inside through 3 and 4.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. Andrew Medlin, one of the drivers that wasn't being patient with his tires in the early going of this stint. He was very aggressive, trying to defend for all the positions that he could, and working that outside lane as much as possible for the 12. And now, just kind of a sitting duck to those that are slowly making their charge forward. But that outside lane still a great defensive lane to be in to hold off drivers that are trying to pass him inside.
Yeah, you can really pinch that driver down, not let him get back into the throttle and kind of kill his momentum. But Zach Hall going to get that pass done down here through 3 and 4. This opens the door for Brandon Pierce in the 39 to maybe look to the inside, but he's not going to be close enough. So that of Andrew Medlin going to have to settle into that of 12th place in that 12 machine. But Pierce not looking to make him too comfortable here as he maybe looks to the inside, but he's going to have to follow in line here behind the 12 of Medlin and takes a little bit of a look at his teammate through 1 and 2, but just going to have to hold steady here down the back straightaway.
And then in front of that group, we see on screen, watching the 26 Travis Dart continue to fall backwards, now down to 10th place. Kim Campbell and Christopher Norris have been able to slot their way inside of the top 10. And some drivers deeper in the field over the radio, calling for pit road. And Trevor, that was something we were talking about when we went into our commercial break after the stage completed. I know we were thinking about pit stops potentially. We believe 50, around 45 to 50 is the window. We're going to see some drivers think about pitting on the distance, which if that's the number we're aiming for, the drivers are about 15 laps away from that window that we're expecting them to make that stop.
Yeah, early stop. If some do elect to come down pit road, you're thinking maybe a 2 stop. From here, if you come in early, if you can wait to that lap, 50 mark, which will put them around lap 90. It's going to be this pit stop, and that'll be it. So interesting, strategy calls if these guys do elect to maybe go for a 2 stop over a 1 stop, or maybe just a massive undercut. We'll have to wait and see as Kim Campbell getting passed here by his teammate Christopher Norris in the 38.
Christopher Norris, Travis Dart working that outside groove. 15 just sits and trying to defend, but it's so difficult, especially with the major runs you can build up on the outside. And Norris able to make the pass cleanly for 8th, as Dart still fights and trying to allow a little bit of draft assistance or really put it in the middle, decides otherwise, and just trying to find a way to move forward as the best these drivers can. And right now, as this group continues to fight for who's going to be in 8th place, I'm keeping my eye out also for the leaders. Brian McCann still leading by over a full second, but we're about to hit that swing I was talking about where we saw it during the stage where Collie really started to chip away and closed on the gap for our leader, Brian McCann. I'm curious if the 99 might have a little bit more of that extra speed, or did Brian McCann learn something as he's one of the few drivers that has a spotter, a real life person giving him information compared to having a digital or online spotter. So maybe this 8's getting a little bit more information of, hey, Collie did this, we need to change up our tactic for the end of this race.
Yeah, it's the nice thing about having the real life spotter can kind of tell you where that car behind you is running, where he's gaining time on you, and you can adjust accordingly. And right now, running almost identical lap times between him and Brandon Collie. We're on board with Brandon Collie here down the front straightaway. You can kind of see it as that time by. Collie a little bit faster, but not by much, as that gap stays steady at about 1 second.
Yeah, just a couple of hundredths difference in time, and with being a full second difference between the two drivers, that's not a lot of ground that you're making up on the driver ahead. It might turn into maybe a different call of when you want to make your stop, a changing of pitting earlier than the driver in front of you. The leader is going to be the better call. We saw from Stitz, there was a massive gain on just having a few laps better tires than someone else, but it might be a change of maybe the undercut. So that's when you pit sooner than the driver ahead of you. That could be the call, but hey, that last go around, Collie's starting to find just a little bit more speed each and every lap. You're seeing it now. I mean, when it's in the green, that's when the 99 is closing in.
Yeah, closing in ever so slightly, and maybe he does go for that undercut. I mean, a lap here could get you the lead, and that clean air can make all the difference. I mean, we've seen it from McCann. I mean, once he's gotten that lead, been able to run his own pace, hasn't had to worry about any pressure, can take care of those tires, and even though this gap is closing, I mean, it's taken Brandon Collie to almost 40 laps to even start to close in this gap on the 8 machine.
Yeah, but look at that last lap. A huge gain from Brandon Colley. The swing is here, and it's Brandon Colley 35 laps into the run. And this is where Colley was finding that advantage during the first stage. At the end of that stage, he was about 6/10 off of Brian McCann right when that yellow flag was thrown. And Colley now within 8/10, and other drivers are also starting to try to close in, like that of Cameron starting in the 24, Ross Tatum as well. They're running just as fast as the 99.
Yeah, they're running just as fast. They got to get around the 7 of Cedric Hunter, and with that, I mean, the 24 Cameron Sartin all over the rear bumper of the 7 machine. He's going to look to the outside, try to set him up here out of turn number 2 as he dives it back to the bottom, gets the run here down the back straightaway. Where is he going to go with it? He's going to go to the inside. Looks like he is down here through 3 and 4 to get past the 7 machine, Sam. And I got to say, that 24 car, when he's not in traffic, he's been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. So if he can get this pass done, might have something for Brandon Colley and Brian McCann.
I mean, the two-time champ trying to come into tonight's race. It's been a long time since he's won twice after a huge slump of not winning last season. Cameron Sartin, he's loved the fact that it's been a different type of a run for this 24 in Season 5, but he needs to get to that outside group. The outside lane is where drivers have had to be here late to make any type of passes, but it's so hard to get to the outside lane because Cedric Hunter is taking such a late turn in. He's kind of holding back the 24 from getting that run that he's hoping for.
Yeah, holding him back from getting that entry that he wants to really set up that 7 to get to the outside. And then, being on the bottom, you can drive it in a little bit deeper and kind of fend off the outside guy. And right here, Cedric Hunter going to go to the middle. Sartin's going to have to go all the way up to almost the 3rd lane. And again, going to have a great run here out of turn number 2, but it's not going to be enough, Sam, to get by the 7. Going to give him a little bit of shove, maybe here in a 3 and 4. Try to upset him, but again, Cedric Hunter doing everything he needs to do to run that middle groove and hold off this 24 machine.
Helping, defending, whatever you can throw out. And Cameron Sartin, huge run off the exit of turn 4. Now going to be side by side, equal as they cross the line, but entry of turn number 1, this 24 really having to send it in, trying to go with the slide job move. What's Cedric Hunter? Gasses it up, center of the corner, the 7, able to defend for now. But again, it's down to the mistakes. What will Cedric Hunter do if he gasses up that throttle too soon? He could have to back out, and that's the opportunity that Cameron Sartin's trying to force right now. Force a mistake on the 7. And for Ross Tatum, who just joined the group, as you're seeing the other battling going on back for that of 6 and 7, drivers are hoping for mistakes, but this is crucial times because we're closing in on pit stops, and drivers are loving the fact that we're into the long run.
Yeah, drivers are loving this long run. You can really tell who's coming and who's going with the tire saving right now. And Ken Campbell able to clear this whole little group of battling behind him. He's got his teammate Christopher Norris right there. Then you got Travis start battling with Zach Hall there in the 32 machine through 3 and 4. And then Brandon Pierce, Sam, having a great run filling in just right behind these guys, just kind of following that 32 machine up through the field as he's watching this battle in front of him, trying to figure out where he wants to go.
I mean, Brandon Pierce filling in for Doug Pierce, who will not be able to continue on from this season onward against Doug, but Brandon is a top caliber driver filling in for this 39 machine. He is someone that actually could have been a threat to make the playoffs if he was running full season, but instead running part-time fill-in driver. And watch out on what speed 39 machine might have for Zach Hall and others. He's been just kind of sitting around where Zach Hall has been at and trying to follow in the footsteps of the 32. Again, Zach Hall, one of the first drivers deciding not to qualify, and he has been slowly marching his way forward. His 32 machine looking like shades of his first couple of races when he ran here with the Full Send Racing Series.
Yeah, elected not to qualify in his first couple of races and drove up through the field, had himself a couple of good results. And same here. I mean, you look at up 13 spots, his teammate Christopher Norris in front of him, also up 13 spots, tied with that of Cameron Sartin, who are all up 13 spots. So these drivers have done a really good job getting through the field. And now you've got 3 of those freaky fast cars all nose to tail as they've cleared this traffic in the 26th and Travis Dart.
One that's fallen backwards actually was the lead driver for most of the race. Andrew Medlin is now trapped back in 13th and might be in a spot where he could be losing even more spots as a couple of more drivers have hit pit road. Tony Brent, again, first driver to hit pit road about 13 laps ago. But it was Jonathan Burt and Steve Bussler who came in pit road. And let's try 3 wide as Tony Brent, fresh tires, just not sure where to go, is the 28 machine as he's got himself over a 28 lap advantage over the rest of the field currently right now with those tires. But sometimes when you get that speed and you're running around with these top tier drivers, you're not sure where to place yourself at moments.
Yeah, had a chance to go 3 wide, thought better of it there, and a smart move by the 28 machine, our Daytona winner. He's locked into the playoffs, but just having a smart move there, backed out of it. Now going to get to the inside here of William Duff. And I mean, Sam, looking at the lap times, he's going to have almost a 2-second speed difference between the guys on these old tires and his fresh tires, looking at the difference between their best laps and the last laps that they've been running. So, I mean, it's a huge closing gap that the 28 is going to have to deal with. This here comes the 12 of Andrew Medlin down pit.
Aggressive was Andrew Medlin, not even over the radio or over text. He just dove down into pit road, and you saw the little bit of a shimmy and shake once he hit that difference of the racing surface down to that of the apron and over text chat. It's our leader. Brian McCann is being caught dramatically here by Brandon Colley, and Colley's trying to follow the 8 into pit road. Doesn't want to give any advantage to the 8 machine. Instead, he'll follow in suit. Top 2, pit road now.
Not a bad call there from Brandon Colley. Doesn't want to allow the 8 to get an undercut on him. And I mean, Sam, he got it down to about 0.4 of a second. He closed that gap down to. So now it's going to be a matter of don't make a mistake getting into your pit box. Don't slide through it because that'll give up 2 or 3 seconds here. Both of them look pretty clean. Actually, I think Colley had to back up just a little bit there, Sam.
Just a little bit of a backup, but he feels like there's enough time and space to work with here as, again, the long run is where the speed's been at for the 99. And he's hoping that he can keep the gap close enough. Both going to leave pit road at the same initial moment. Again, that slide and giving up, that slight backup, that's about a half a second, maybe even a full second, and Colley just gave up. And looks to be even more than that, as the gap's already gapped up to 2 seconds between the 8 machine and the 99. That slight pit road mistake might have what costed Colley the win here this evening.
It's about 3 seconds the gap that he's going to give up to Brian McCann sliding through his pit box. As a driver, it's a gut-wrenching feeling. I've done it personally. I know what it's like to do that in the gap that he's given up. And I mean, Sam, he goes from a second back and running down the 8 machine now to being that of 3 seconds back and having to do the same thing. It's going to be a tough task for that 99 machine. Now we're just going to have to hope that maybe the 8 gets caught up in some lap traffic here on these fresher tires, but looking like he's getting through it clean. Is Ross Tatum going to be our current leader now as he's heading through 3 and 4 right now?
And Ross Tatum going to continue to stay out on track as the rest of the field over the radio or under text letting the field know we're heading into pit road, as majority of the field recognizing, hey, it's go time. Hit pit road, get your service done. This could be the last and only stop of the night unless the yellow flag strikes. So gotta be picture perfect, as Tony Brent is the leader currently of drivers that have already made a pit stop, but about to be swung over to Brian McCann here very shortly, as 28. He tried a gutsy call, it didn't work out, as Ross Tatum hits pit road, and Zach Hall quickly about to make a hit stop as well.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to start cycling into pit road here. You can't afford to stay out much longer. You're going to lose a lot of time for these guys on the fresh tires as they, are going to lap about 2 seconds quicker than these guys. Brandon Colley going by the 77. William Duffy's got the 00 of Stephen Bustler in front of him. And looking at the gap between he and Brian McCann, going to be, I think, about 2 seconds of the difference between those two. And I just think that it's going to be a hard gap for him to recover from, especially if he burns the tires up trying to catch him down.
I mean, he's going to burn the tires up just trying to get by lap traffic is the 99 of Colley, as we still have ourselves about 6 drivers still needing to come into pit road. William Duff leading the drivers with Ryan Lynch, Tyler Thomas, as well as Tony Brent needing to make another stop as he pitted extremely early compared to the rest of the field, as Zach Hall and Christopher Melton have made their stops and are getting back out on track. As the field, a lot of different strategies, some deciding to pit extremely early, some looking for the middle point of when to come to pit road, and 3 drivers still needing to make a stop. Those that have already pitted, though, Brian McCann leads in 4th place with Brandon Colley, so less than 2.5 seconds back from the 8 machine. Those are the 2 drivers to watch out for on who could potentially win tonight's race. The pit cycle is almost completely done and dusted. Still waiting for the 77 and 3 and the 11 to make their stops, and they're expecting to make their stops here very shortly here, as they will be forced in the next 3 to about 5 laps to hit pit road.
Yeah, they're going to come down pit road here in the next couple of laps. Looks like the 77 going to continue for at least another lap, along with the 3 of Ryan Lynch, the 11 of Tyler Thomas. But once the cycle's around, looks like it's going to be Brian McCann, Brandon Colley, Tony Brent, who pitted early. He's still going to have a little bit of a gap over Cedric Hunter and Cameron Sarton. But I mean, big traffic jam here as well. Bustler almost gets into the 44 of Curtis Walechka. Here comes the 12 of Andrew Medlin, our race leader of William Duff. Just going to kind of be a sitting duck for these guys as they go by him on the outside. But that could have been a disaster for these guys. Almost contact made. That could have been a caution that could have really shaken things up.
And William Duff was over the radio right when this pack caught him saying, hey, I need to pit this time, and instead he'll stay out for an extra lap. And now the question for the 77, does he have enough fuel for an extra lap? Because when you stay out, there's always this risk that you get caught out and trapped. In the 44, Valechko goes low. Also going to be seeing other drivers trying their opportunities to get by the 77 as everyone stacks up 3 wide quickly. You see the 93 and the 17 get by, and William Duff aiming for pit road. Ryan Lynch still going to be out on track as well. And Tyler Thomas says, oh boy, Duff, what a slide. A little bit of style on the entry to pit road as he gets in cleanly.
Getting some drifting practice in as he comes down pit road. Does a great job saving that, though, and getting it down to pit road speed. But Duff in on pit road. This is going to leave Ryan Lynch now in the 3. You see Brandon Pierce getting by him here as they go through 1 and 2, and then the 11 of Tyler Thomas before it hands the lead back over to the 8 of Brian McCann. And for Ryan Lynch, Tyler Thomas trying to kind of flip the field, hoping for maybe a late race caution. But I think over the radio, Tyler Thomas going to be down pit road this time by or next time by for that 11 machine.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be forced into pit road here shortly. The 11 hits pit road. Very smooth for Ryan, that of Tyler Thomas. But Ryan Lynch continues to stay out. One of the drivers that was further back in the field was utilizing the draft to save fuel. And has been able to stretch it this far along. Is the 3 machine, but we know that he is not going to be able to take it from here to the end. As we are coming to the end of this race, this is going to be our last opportunity to take a commercial break because we're hitting lap 100. Ryan Lynch stays out for an extra lap, but the Full Send Racing Series, race number 14 for the Next Level Racing 200 at Las Vegas. We will be back right after this. Who's winning at Las Vegas? We'll find out in just a few moments. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting, giving you coverage of the Full Send Racing Series, the Next Level Racing 200 at Las Vegas, as race number 14 has been a good one, and caution flag is out, and that changes everything here this evening, as we were getting ourselves prepared for the long run, and instead, new tires striking Tony Brent, who was going for the two-stop, and instead, he just brings out the yellow that is now going to put Brian McCann and the rest of the field in a very interesting spot here with less than 30 laps to go.
Yeah, it saves the 99 of Brandon Colley. Sam, who we mentioned right before we went to commercial, made that pit road mistake where he slid through his box just a little bit. So it's going to allow him to close back up. And for Tony Brent, just unfortunate, was going for that aggressive two-stop strategy. Cold tires caught him out, though, as he, I believe, just solo spun it out of turn number 2. But I mean, pack them back up and let's have ourselves a little 30-lap dash to the end.
And we've seen drivers, even during qualifying, when you were pushing these vehicles on cold tires, it was difficult to hold on to, and the 28 brings out the yellow with this incident. And now drivers, hey, it's not even a question. Everyone's hitting pit road. The question might be, do you take 4 or do you take 2? Because track position seems to be critical at this time. As Brian McCann, Brandon Colley gets saved with this yellow as they enter pit road.
Yeah, they come down pit road here. Can't afford to make another mistake, though. Can't slide through your box. We saw Travis Dart do it at the stage break. He lost a couple of positions now, and so don't want to make that same mistake again. And Sam, do drivers like Ryan Lynch and William Duff, do they stay out? I mean, they were the last cars to pit, so maybe do they stay out and kind of throw a wrench into this? As it looks like Colley into his box cleanly, McCann into his box cleanly, and now it's going to be a race off pit road between those two.
Hey, you called it. Ryan Lynch, he just came out of pit road when that yellow flag came out, and the 3 machine will stay out. So this is a race on who's going to grab second out of pit road. Colley, clean stop. He'll be second off pit road. And McCann will hold on to that lead position as they were 4 wide, 3 wide, and they just continue to race out of pit road for deeper in the field. A 3 machine gonna have a 2-lap disadvantage compared to the rest of the field on green flag conditions. Oh boy, how are these drivers going to react now? Well, welcome again to the show. My name's Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart, as well as Robert Morio Jr. Rain Productions in the background. This was our second on-track incident to bring out a yellow this evening. Our other caution was a stage break at the end of lap 40. We've been clean and green since lap 45 until 102. And now it's to get ready for a final dash, about 25 laps when we go green, and these drivers, I mean, it's going to be a setup for a dash to the end, because we've seen it's usually around a 30 to a 35 lap window when we see the long run for the tires to start to fall off. Now it's all about get up front as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you got to flip that switch now. Brandon Colley been the quicker car on the long run. McCann's been the faster one on the short run. You got to flip that switch. If you're that 99 machine, you got to figure out pace to be quick on the short run, along with the other guys like Cameron Sarton, who is quick on a short run. Brandon Pearson, the 39. You got to kind of change your mentality of how you're going to want to run this. And Sam, with Ryan Lynch being out there on the older tires, I mean, this could kind of throw a wrench into everything as well. I mean, does he get a good restart? And if he does, could help the 99 machine maybe get past that 8 machine on this restart.
And also watch out for the 08 on our ticker, 39 out there on track. That's Brandon Pierce. Went with a 2-tire stop compared to the rest of the field that all took 4 tires. So we got 3 different strategy calls. Old tires for Ryan Lynch. Most of the field taking 4 tires. And the lone 08 in 7th place taking 2 tires for some track position. So we'll see how they want to react as well on this go around.
Hey, tire strategy could play out. I mean, not a bad call from himself. Gains a couple of positions up into 7th. Question's going to be for him, how well are those 2 tires going to hold up versus 4 tires? Might loosen the car up just a little bit for him. Car looks a little tight on the long run, but we've seen how loose it is at the beginning of a run on these cold tires. So it's going to be, I think, a handful for Brandon to hang on to in these first opening laps.
That's going to be the key. Can you hold on until you get maybe a 2 or 3 lap window that you can really utilize that advantage you're looking for 2 tires? Well, thank you again for joining with us. You're watching race number 14 of the season, second to last race of the regular season before we get ready for playoffs that start in November. But the drivers here tonight, it is a critical moment. Brandon Colley in the 99 machine is in practically a must-win scenario if he's going to make the playoffs. Same for the 7 of Cedric Hunter, both going to be third, fourth place in that second row. As Brian McCann's been the dominant driver, leading practically every lap, except for when we went through our green flag pit cycle. The 8 machine is the driver to watch out for. Quick, but will not be the control vehicle for this restart. And I mean, Trevor, you talked about wheel spin for the 3, but this has got to be an interesting spot for the 8 machine on the fact that he's got no control on when they're going to take off.
Yeah, it'll be the first time that he hasn't had control of a restart the whole race. And I mean, he's been able to get great jumps and get out in front of everybody being in that clean air. And this could be the first opportunity for these guys to really put that 8 machine in dirty air, make him uncomfortable. It's all going to come down to this restart. What can Ryan Lynch do on those older tires? What can Brandon Colley do behind the 3? He's got the best opportunity to maybe be side by side with the 8 machine as they head down into turn number 1.
24 drivers going to be on the lead lap, and it's time to see who is worth the gamble. Was it staying out on older tires? Was it taking 2 tires or sticking to the status quo? It's time to find out. Pace car makes the hard left-hander to pit road into the restart zone. It's the Full Send Racing Series here at Las Vegas. Next Level Racing 200 is underway. A little bit of a checkup going on the inside row, but side by side for second place. Colley gets the great run. Lynch takes the lead, and it's all Brian McCann right now trapped on the outside.
Oh, Colley gets a little loose, drifts up the track, gets into the 8 just a little bit. And this is what Colley needed to be side by side. Now has to get by the 3 of Ryan Lynch. Lynch goes up to block the 8 of McCann. Here comes the 24 of Cameron Sarton. They're going to be 3 wide going into 3.
3 wide going on, almost a stack. 4 wide going on for the lead. It's Colley with the run in the middle, but gets loose. Spun off the nose of the 24. Ryan Lynch takes the lead, but McCann has the better run. Colley, once again, another chance for a win, and it backfires late in the race as the 8 machine has the outside, the better positioning for the pass, but they're wrecking behind as it's going to be the 08 of Brandon Pierce up inside of the outside wall.
Brandon Pierce, I believe Christopher Norris is well involved in that. I think there was a third car as well involved in that wreck. But Sam, cold tires, Brandon Colley trying to be aggressive, get the lead from the 3 of Ryan Lynch, loses it, does a great job saving it, but all that track position now lost for this 99 machine.
And that third driver going to be Chris Stitz. As you see the replay here, going to be seeing the pink machine on the outside as well as the 39. They're going to be side by side. Norris trying to figure out how to enter the corner, and just 2 drivers looking for the same real estate, make contact on the entry of the corner, and we got some that are stacked 2 wide, some 3 wide, and Stitz nowhere to go. Pile drives that 38 into the outside wall.
Yeah, nowhere for Stitz to go. I mean, you're all stacked up on top of one another on a restart like that, and there's just nowhere to go when they start wrecking in front of you. And unfortunately for those 3 guys, had great runs going for themselves, and it's going to take them out of contention here late in this race. But we get another restart, Sam, stack them up, try it all over again, and Brian McCann going to be the control car this time around.
As you saw there, a little bit of contact between that of Norris and the 11 late. But these drivers, we looked at that also from different angle. Looked to be a little bit of quote-unquote wind. Also, Trevor, highly mixed into that incident. So drivers certainly not feeling the most comfortable when it comes to a lot of side-by-side racing, but recognizing, hey, they've got to be careful here on this launch.
Yeah, you got to be careful on the launch. I mean, you got to be aggressive. I mean, it's going to be a short sprint here to the end. So you got to be aggressive, but you also got to be aware that on these cold tires, you're gonna be prone to being loose, and you got to be aware of where cars are going to be. I mean, it tightens up kind of through the tri-oval as you exit it. Drivers electing to go down below the apron, some not. So you got to be aware of kind of where everybody is around you, and that's kind of what makes these restarts so exciting here at Las Vegas.
And with that last restart, time to the yellow. Brian McCann going to be the lead driver, and I got a feeling now, Trevor, this is kind of set in the hands of Brian McCann. It's now on him if he's going to have a bad restart, if he's going to lose this race, because every single time that he was the lead driver, these starts have been incredible for himself, really to not feel any pressure from any other vehicle, and he's going to have Ryan Lynch right behind him. Now it's a decision of, well, where do you want to place the 3 for this restart, and who do you want to hinder or help moving on for this next attempt at a restart?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think for McCann, he's going to take the bottom, which will give Cedric Hunter a pretty good advantage here on the restart. And Cedric, has been quietly running back there in third. all night long, was able to hold off the 24 of Cameron Sarton. Sarton lost a little bit of time when he had to check up for the half-spinning race car of Brandon Colley. So this might allow Cedric Hunter, who's also in that must-win scenario, a chance to go attack the 8 of Brian McCann. But we're going to have to wait and see, Sam, as we're getting lined up for this restart.
Getting ready for the restart for these drivers, for themselves, as the field still going to be in a pressure kind of boiler moment of who's going to be in the better attempt. The lights are still on, so we're still waiting for the official 1-to-go marker for the field. But they certainly are in a spot where they're thinking, okay, how do I want to set up myself for this restart? And if they do restart with the 8s on the inside, Will Bustler in 4th place. He's got that of the 3 right in front of him. How do you get by the driver on some slightly older tires? It's going to be the key. Less than 20 laps to go when we go green. And Brian McCann trying to beat the trends here at Las Vegas. These drivers have ran here every season so far in the Full Send Racing Series, as this is season 5. And there has been no driver that has gotten the pole and has won here at Las Vegas. There's been plenty of drivers. It's split half and half on a driver that's either won with leading less than 10 laps and getting into victory lane. That's happened twice, season 1 and season 3. And then the other 2 races, we've had drivers that have led the most laps in dominant fashion and have gotten into victory lane. Brian McCann trying to get the pole, lead the most laps, and win. He's got some hungry drivers behind him. Like you said, Cedric Hunter, I think the favorite to watch out for. How aggressive will the 7 be on trying to aim for this win?
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see, but McCann going to take that outside line. I think he realized that the 7 of Cedric Hunter, the 24 of Cameron Sarton, going to be his 2 biggest fears that he's got to worry about. So he's going to put the 3 who's on those older tires in front of them here on this restart. It's going to allow Will Bustler to have a shot here to maybe have something for this 8 machine, but I think this is going to make this restart really interesting once we get going back racing here.
As the 3 machine gets prepared, thank you so much for joining with us, ladies and gentlemen, watching the Full Send Racing Series on your Thursday night. If you want to see some other great racing action throughout the week, we've got you covered. Tomorrow night, WSSR, they get themselves prepared to start their championship round. As their championship round, 6 drivers who can grab the most points in 2 races. It's going to be a good playoffs to watch on who can grab the Season 7 championship. And then on Thursday night, the Stars and Stripes, they're getting themselves prepared for the playoffs to begin. Don't want to miss either one of those races, both in the Gen 4 car. Thank you so much for joining with us as we get ourselves prepared for what could be one of the final restarts of the night, unless they want to get a little mixy again. Still, these tires are slightly cold because of the heat cycle of quickly restarting, then back to yellow flag. Where is the heat going to be for these tires on this restart? Time to find out. Pace car into pit road, into the restart zone. The Next Level Racing 200 is back underway. The 3 doesn't take off, nor does the 1. The 7 is Cedric Hunter trying to push the 3 forward as he's not able to make it 3 wide just yet, but he's wooing the 3 to go and get by the 1.
Yeah, try to push him off into turn number 1 and 2, get the 3 moved up so he can get to the inside. Does just that here. Out of turn number 2, it's going to be almost 3 wide down the back straightaway. Going to be 3 wide down the back straightaway. Will Bustler, Ryan Lynch, Cedric Hunter as they head into turn number 3. Contact between the 7 and 3.
Get in, they're going to hold steady. Ryan Lynch, what a save by the 3 machine, but it's going to be the 7 of Cedric Hunter falling backwards, and just one bad push, and he now falls back to the clutches of the rest of the field. Now it's all Brian Lynch, the 1 of Will Bustler, and Cameron Sarn, your top 3, pulling away as they're stacked 3 wide again. Ryan Lynch stuck in the middle as he continues to fall backwards. 2 lap older tires in the rest of the field. It's a big push as Medlin also making some daring moves up front.
Yeah, trying to make daring moves. Will Bustler got loose out of turn number 2. He's going to give up a lot of position. Now the 24 Cameron Sarton up to 2nd place. They're still trying to figure out this whole battle back here. Behind him, Ross Tatum able to get by the 3 of Ryan Lynch, who's falling behind the 77 of William Duff, 32 of Zach Hall, Sam Siegel in the 55 right there as well. His drivers still stacked up on top of one another trying to figure things out, but Will Bustler lost a lot of time, and here comes the 7 of Cedric Hunter trying to close back in.
And all the slipping and sliding is given space to work with as the 8 machine. They're wrecking Sam Siegel as well as Duff. Going to be spun around, and the rest of the field scattering on the entry of turn 3 as multiple drivers piling in. And Ryan Lynch stuck and saved for William Duff. It's just bad bump, and away they went.
That's all it takes. A little bit of a bump out of the corner exit upsets the car in front of you, and chaos ensues, and Sam, we get ourselves another restart.
I mean, you're going to see here Zach Hall just A little bit aggressive off the exit of the corner, gets into Duff, who tries to save it. And everyone else is just flying at maximum speed on the entry of turn 3. No one has time to react. Bad bump here, there, and everywhere. And that will bring out another caution here tonight as Ryan Lynch, his gamble of taking no tires and staying out, backfires greatly as he just gets blasted by everyone piling in there late onto the entry as Colley has the dive down low. And the driver's caught up in this one. It's just going to be William Duff who's got the required damage into pit road, joining the likes of Christopher Norris and Brandon Pierce.
I think the 93 as well of Chris Melton had some damage in that, but not required damage. But I think he was one of the cars that came blasting in there. But when you're stacked up on top of one another like that, no time to really react to what's going on. And, you know, that wreck ensues. And now here we go, Sam, 14 laps to go. Going to probably be about 12 laps to go when we restart. Colley coming down pit road, though, to get a fresh set of tires for himself. So going to see if he can maybe do something with those fresh tires. But I think these restarts are just going to keep getting more and more aggressive as these laps wind down.
Yeah, and I'm interested on how this is going to work out for Colley, who comes into pit road, because we've seen this kind of tactic already be played out before multiple times of drivers that had a 5-lap advantage, a 7-lap advantage, and you really weren't able to advance forward until longer into the run. Took a little bit of time, and you're only able to gain maybe 5 to 8 positions at most. So it looks like for Colley, this might be a push to maybe go for a top 10 finish and just salvage something more than a shot to go for some major gains. But some drivers that are leading, though, with fresh rubber. Tony Brent in the 28 machine. Remember, he spun out and brought out the yellow that kind of changed the aspect of this race that has turned it into this kind of caution-filled, riddled mess at the end. The 28, he's got some of the freshest tires. He's in 12th place. I was curious on how he's going to also try to charge through this field and try to go for a top 10 run.
Yeah, it could be interesting to see what he's going to do on those fresh tires. He's got 2 of his teammates right there in front of him, Jonathan Burt, David McConnell. Yeah, the other 2 Texas speed cars up there in 10th and 11th. So that's going to be interesting. You're going to have John Dart, Cameron Sarton there, going to restart right behind Brian McCann. Travis Dart as well, back up to 4th position. Andrew Medlin, Sam, I mean, he was falling back through the field at one point inside the top 5 now. So the last couple of restarts really kind of shaken up, second all the way back to that of about 5th position. So this restart, new faces up toward the front.
A lot of new faces up front, but where can they stay up front is going to be the key thing for themselves, or will they be swamped by those that just got fresh rubber, which those that just came into pit road, Zach Hall, Brandon Colley, Harrison Gerwitz, Steve Bustler, going to be those drivers, and Sam Siegel, who also got some damage repair with fresh rubber. Do they have enough laps to work with, as we've got 13 laps to go? Pace car lights are still on, expecting them to click off this go-around once they cross the line. So it's going to be around 11 laps to go when we go green. There is time for another caution, maybe 2, before we have to head into overtime. But, Trevor, for those drivers that just got tires, they need this race to stay green if they're going to utilize that rubber.
Yeah, I think they needed to go green from this restart to the finish if they want any chance. I mean, we saw Chris Stitz drive from the back up to that of about 11th. But, you know, by then, I think that was about it. It took him about 15, 18 laps to get up there. So that they're going to have a limited amount of time. They're going to have to be aggressive to do so. But, I mean, where can you really go, Sam, when we've seen 3 wide, almost 4 wide racing at some points? I mean, it's going to be difficult for the likes of Brandon Colley, Zach Hall, and those guys to get up toward the front of this field.
I think aggression, the most aggressive driver with fresh rubber is going to make it work the best. If you're patiently trying to carve your way through this field, there's just not enough time to do it. And I think the driver that I'm circling might be, Zach Hall, or I think Brandon Colley could be that driver. But that loose sensation, if you're too aggressive, you go over the line, that's where we've seen drivers get loose and out in trouble very quickly. So we'll see who can, kind of ride the tape right on the line and keep themselves in a good limbo position. Otherwise, they're going to be finding themselves in some major chaos. 5 cautions in the book. This ties the most cautions ever thrown at a Las Vegas race. Season 1 was the race where they had 5 cautions. And trying to find themselves in a victory lane is going to be Brian McCann, hoping for win number 5 potentially here.
Yeah, hoping for win number 5. But, I mean, he's got Cameron Sarton, the 2-time champ, who's been looking pretty strong here late in this race, right to his outside. John Dart looking for his first win of the season. Travis Dart also looking for his first win of the season right there. Andrew Medlin, who needs, as many points as he can possibly get, lurking back there in 5th. This restart, I think whoever gets a good restart here could really go a long way into getting themselves a good finish or potentially the win here tonight.
Who is going to get it done? 11 laps to go as the pace car pulls into pit road. The Next Level Racing 200 at Las Vegas is back underway. Cameron Sarn just watches the 8 roll forward side by side for second place. It's between the 5 and the 24 as they enter turn number 1. McCann, no one is even close to himself through the center of 1 and 2.
And McCann's done a great job mastering these restarts, getting the jump, making sure nobody's there to really challenge him. But it's going to be the 24, Cameron Sarton, with a great run out of turn number 2, going to clear the 5 of John Dart, really ship it down into turn number 3 and try to close that gap on the 8. Travis Dart going to look to the outside of his brother through 3 and 4. Andrew Medlin trying to hold off the 1 of Will Bustler. Ross Tatum, Cedric Hunter, the 15 of King Campbell, all on top of one another as we cross the line. 24 really starting to track down that 8 machine.
10 laps to go, and Cameron Sarton does not want to give up a win. He wants to battle for this lead. He's been so strong on the long run, and now showing strength on the short run as the 8's gap is now less than 2/10. Other drivers trying to march their way forward as the positioning and battling for third on back. They are so on top of one another, they're giving up time for this duel. It's McCann, it's Sarton. 10, make it 9 laps to go on who's winning race number 14 of the season.
You have caught him. How are you going to pass him? Cameron Sarton right there to the rear bumper of the 8 of Brian McCann as they head through 1 and 2. McCann with a little bit of a later entry, getting to the bottom through 1 and 2 over the bumps. Sarton with a great run, though, out of turn number 2, looking to get by the 8 machine. A little bit of a block down the back straightaway. Here goes Sarton to the outside, trying to make a move, but he's going to have to fall back in line behind the 8 of Brian McCann as they head through 3 and 4.
And the more and more that Cameron Sarton puts the pressure on the 8, it's going to allow the Dart brothers to close back into this fight and give them a chance to get into the mix. As drivers that have used their fresh rubber and came into pit road under our last yellow, they're still trapped, mired all the way back in 13th place. But you see the hands, they're working. Brian McCann inside lane, trying to hold off Cameron Sarton, who gets the launch, he gets the surge. They're going to be side by side down into turn number 3.
First time the 8's been under pressure all night long, but drives it deep into 3, clears that 24 machine. Sarton going to try to set up a run, though, with the momentum off the top side. Again, right back to the rear bumper of Brian McCann as he crosses the line. Going to look to the inside, takes it all the way to the apron. Side by side as they enter turn number 1. Sarton going to try to dive it in here, see if he can maybe pull a slide job up. McCann going to drive it in equally as deep, pinch that 24 machine down to the bottom out of turn number 2. Here they come, side by side.
I'm surprised to see Sarton take the inside lane. The outside looked like that was the preferred spot to be, but instead just gives up the outside defensive groove to Brian McCann. And McCann, he's going to easily hold off this 24. Sarton needs to get to that outside lane. It's at 7. Now going to be 6 laps to go here at Las Vegas.
Loses about 2 car lengths down the front straightaway with McCann having that outside line. Going to try to set him up back here into 1 and 2. And again, McCann going with that late dive to the bottom. Sarton drifts up just a little bit. Might lose a little bit of time here through out of turn number 2. Was that the last shot from that 24 machine? Can he close back in on this gap? The Dart brothers trying to close in as they start to surge forward. Close in on this 24 machine. McCann did a masterful job, though, holding off Cameron Sarton as they come out of turn 4, coming to 5 laps to go.
Update on the drivers that have went into pit road to get tires on that last yellow flag. Brandon Colley, Zach Hall, they are still trapped in 12th place. They are not moving forward. They have stalled out. It is just the duel between McCann and Sarton. 5 laps to go. And looking for win number 5 on caution number 5. The 5 seems to be in line for Brian McCann to get his 5th win here tonight.
Seems to be in line, lining up that way for him. Sarton trying to close back in that gap down to about 3 car lengths as they come out of 4. Got a really good run there as McCann drifted up just a little bit. 4 laps to go as they cross the line. Travis Dart, John Dart, Medlin, they've all kind of settled their little battle. They're just kind of running in line behind him. Will Bustler not having really anywhere to go as they kind of fan out behind him. It's going to be Sarton. Can he close in on McCann as they exit turn number 2? Again, about 4 car lengths as they head down the back straightaway.
You look at the numbers and the way they were lining up, you can say that we've got a 3 of a pair as Brian McCann. We're in Las Vegas. He gambled it all on trying to make sure he could stay up front. He had been quick. The timing of the yellow thought maybe it was going to hurt him. Instead, he got the spacing. All the yellow flags have lined up perfectly. And the 8 machine practiced perfectly on the restarts. He had 1 scare, and that was from this 24. With 3 laps to go, the pressure is no longer looming. It's over 3/10 now, the difference between 1st and 3rd.
At 0.3 of a second and growing just a little bit. Sarton, I think his last gasp effort when he went to that bottom line allowed the 8 to really kind of pinch him down there, killed his momentum. Hasn't been able to build it back up and close back into the rear bumper of the A machine. Gets a little bit of a better run there though. Down to about 0.2 of a second. Sam as we cross the line. 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go, and moving up that middle groove. I'd love to see this by Sartin, but I think it's a little bit too late to be trying a different groove, as Brian McCann still leading the way, but closing in ever so slightly is Sartin. He's going to try a 1-lap dash to try to close in this gap, going through 3 and 4. Brian McCann, he's got the lead for now, trying to put the dirty air on the front bumper of this 24. Exit of 4. It's going to be your next level racing. White flag for Brian McCann and Cameron Sartin.
If Sartin's going to have any shot at it, he's got to set him up here through 1 and 2. He's got to get a good launch down to about 1/10 of a second. Again, going to take that middle through turn number 1 and 2. McCann at the bottom. Sartin going to try to get the run off the top. Here it comes. The run down the back straightaway. Closing, Sam, but not going to be close enough to get to the inside as he heads into turn number 3.
But he's 1/10. He closed in just slightly, but he goes all the way down the white line and was hoping for some more space to work with. There wasn't. The run's not there. It all lines up. And for the next level, 200 at Las Vegas, Brian McCann, win number 5. Give it to this 8 machine.
What a run there from McCann. Was dominant all race long. Survived some late drama with the restarts. Able to hold off the late charge from Cameron Sartin. Gets his 5th win of the season. And man, what a drive from the 8 machine. See him doing a little bit of celebratory drift through 3 and 4. And what an effort there from Cameron Sartin. Sam, I just think, like you said, chose wrong, went to the bottom, and that cost him all his momentum and a shot at winning this race.
It took him too long to figure out the momentum and the placement that the 24 needed to go to battle Brian McCann. And this 8, he had been dominant. He placed himself perfectly for the victory in the momentum swing. This was the race Brian McCann needed right before the playoffs are around the corner. And what a race for the 8 machine. Congratulations to McCann for winning the Next Level Racing 200 here at Las Vegas. We will step away. When we come back, we will talk to our top 3. Brian McCann, Cameron Sartin, Travis Dart, right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Full Send Racing Series post-race show for that of the Las Vegas Next Level Racing 200. As you got to see Brian McCann dominate, have to hold back the pressure, and was able to do so from the likes of Cameron Sartin. As we head ourselves up to victory lane to the 8 machine for the 5th time this season. Brian, congratulations on the win, man. How are you feeling after this one?
Man, I'm feeling tired after that. That was a bunch of close racing there at the end with Cameron. Shout out to him for, close racing and not wrecking. That was really fun.
I mean, Brian, you dominated the first part of this race. Then you get the late couple of cautions. You survive, Brandon Colley running you down on the late run, the late restarts. I mean, what's going through your mind there, those last couple of restarts, and especially trying to defend the 24 machine?
Yeah, Collie had me a little worried. I think Collie was a little bit quicker on the longer run, especially on that real long green flag run after the stage. He got back to my bumper, but I think something happened to him on pit road, and I came off and had a 3-second gap. So I was just out there cruising, and then that yellow came out, and I was like, oh no. And then, I guess you guys saw it after that. It was just, I had to fight for it then.
Yeah, you certainly had to fight for it, and you got the victory at the end of the day. I mean, Brian, we were looking at stats. I mean, saying that it was a slump is kind of a stretch, but you weren't getting your top 5s each and every week. But man, how does this feel getting a win with the playoffs right around the corner and getting back into the swing of things?
Oh, it feels good getting got the stage point for the playoff and the win here for the playoff, so that helps greatly. And the slump that you're talking about, I got an explanation for it. I've been racing on a laptop with a driving force GT wheel, so a couple of those races there I didn't do so hot. I think Phoenix was one of them, and I don't remember the other track.
Now, that does make a lot more sense. If you're used to your own setup and rig, it's kind of hard switching around. But Brian, congratulations on getting back into the swing of things, on getting back into victory lane. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to my family, my wife, you guys for doing the broadcast, admins for putting the league on, sponsors, my spotter, Repeat 1975, check him out on all the popular streaming services. And the drivers for showing out every week and making a great race. I love it. Thank you.
Well, that will be the 8 machine of Brian McCann grabbing win number 5 this season. Congratulations and good luck next week at Richmond.
Thank you.
As we head from victory lane, we go down to second place, Cameron Sartin, who put probably the best pressure where you could ask for on the 8 machine there late in the race, but not able to take the win. Cam, it's Sam and Trevor up at the booth. Congratulations on second. Man, what else did you need to get yourself into victory lane here tonight?
A little bit of a longer run and a better qualifying spot. That's for sure. It was a little wild going through there. I just got loose on a qualifying lap, couldn't and barely saved that, and just kind of worked my way up. Knew I was fast. I felt like I was honestly the fastest guy out there with lap times on the long green flag runs, just passing all those guys and then still kind of getting McCann by a 10th or 2 every lap. So got help a little bit, but I mean, the last like 20 laps were a blur. They were pretty wild, so was in the right spots at the right time and just a little short.
Well, Cam, you got 2 wins this season. You've kind of been building on the momentum. We go to Richmond next week. Probably one of your favorite tracks, and a week off before we get to the playoffs. I mean, how are you feeling about going into the playoffs and your chances next week at Richmond?
Yeah, I feel really great next week at Richmond. So big smile on my face there. So hopefully I can start up front and kind of stay there instead of trying to come from the back. So that's going to be kind of key there, especially for just short track and scary people around, so trying to get a little too much. So but yeah, I feel good. I know I can compete with the guy, but I don't like finishing second to him again. But it was a good clean race there, and just need that little more, and think I can get him for sure.
I mean, you certainly proved it there late that you were a threat to watch out for. Cam, I mean, certainly this season going a lot better than last season. What can you take away before the playoffs begin in that of 3 weeks?
Yeah, feels like a big weight off my shoulders, especially with the first win coming. But overall, a pretty successful season. A couple ifs or bumps and down the road, but been able to back them up and the car fits me 10 times better than the truck did, and just worked on a couple little small racecraft things here and there to help me out, just that, tenth more, which is ever so crucial, especially in this game. And I think overall it's come together pretty nicely. So established myself up front with Brian and especially Zach and a few other guys. So it should it's going to be a very chaotic playoffs in a good way. So it's going to be super competitive. So it should be by far the best one yet.
It certainly is looking like it with the competition and the level that we're at right now. Congratulations, Cam, on getting yourself into second place tonight. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, shout out to mom, dad, grandparents for watching. Y'all guys up in the booth. I'll go back and watch that here in a second. So it should be a pretty entertaining last 20 laps for sure there. Travis again for hosting this. Always a good time. Next Level Racing for the race sponsorship. Got to shout out John and Sam teammates. I beat John in the bracket challenge. So at least I got that. I guess I kind of won something tonight. That was actually a pretty competitive race there. And Premier setup, so make sure and go check them out. And yeah, appreciate y'all.
That's going to be the 24 machine of Cameron Sarton coming away with second place. Congratulations, Cam, and good luck next week.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
As we move on from second place, we go down to third, and it's going to be talking to this driver in the 26 machine. We got Travis Dart with us. Travis coming away in third place. Man, what a run for yourself. Able to fight and defend and hold back a majority of the field here this evening. How are you feeling, though, after coming away with third place?
A bit lucky. I think I was for sure top 10, probably like top 7 car, but got put in some good situations and was able to come out in third. Got lucky with being on the high side when there was a checkup on the bottom, so that definitely put me in position there at the end.
Well, Travis, you came into tonight, looking pretty good in points. You were plus 70s to get yourself a pretty good finish in a points night. You got one more race at Richmond before the playoffs are start. I mean, what's your thought process going into Richmond to get you set up for the playoffs in 3 weeks?
Just have a good race, really. I think I'm still fighting with a couple of guys for regular standings to try to get some playoff points. I think I'm in 6th, maybe even in 5th after tonight. So definitely some playoff points to grab, even outside of a win or stage wins. But yeah, just have a good night. I'm pretty sure I'm clinched after tonight, and there's probably a couple of others drivers that clinch. But yeah, just look to have a good race overall. I like Richmond a lot, so should have a good night as long as I could stay clean.
I mean, Travis, I feel like this season it's been, your qualifying runs have been great last season. This season it feels like you're a lot more consistent. What are you feeling like has been the change this season to enable you to be in this spot, to be running in the playoffs and looking pretty competitive for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, tonight I'm very upset that I didn't get the pole tonight. I put down a really good lap during practice, felt really confident. And then towards the end of practice, I tried putting in a couple more laps, and then something just kept happening. I kept snapping loose, so I took it very easy during tonight's qualifying. Still ended up qualifying third, which is good, but I think I could have easily had the pole if I just trusted the car a little bit more. I think that's a big thing, qualifying, just because of the setups. It's hard to pass. And then also running B opens and stuff, just being good with the Xfinity car and learning what it likes and what it doesn't like.
Learning about the car is always something that drivers are trying to get throughout a season, and you've done a great job at it. Travis, congratulations on this run. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours.
All right, appreciate it. Appreciate you guys in the booth for putting on a show every Tuesday. My teammates, Brian Wilson, who was able to show up tonight, and then Philip, and then Doug, and then also Doug's son Brandon. He spotted and crew chiefed for me towards the end of the race when when his car got totaled. So I appreciate him for that. All of our sponsors, Next Level Racing for sponsoring tonight's events. And we also have ButtKicker, On the Throttle Podcast, Sim Studio, Excessive Speed Sim Racing, Impact Sim Designs, and others as well. And I appreciate all of them. Yeah, it's just overall good race tonight.
Well, that will be the 26 machine of Travis Dart coming away with third. Congratulations on this run here tonight, and good luck next week at Richmond.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
As that's going to be our top 3 drivers here this evening. We're going to not have a spotlight driver this week. We expect to have one next week, but tonight's race certainly a spectacular one. Seeing Brian McCann grab his 5th win this season. He didn't have to fight for much here tonight, but there was one great challenger of Cameron Sarton. Collie looked quick at moments. There were plenty of different other drivers that looked fast, but at the end of the night, they could not stop the 8 machine. As we take a look at the unofficial results here this evening, it's going to be Brian McCann taking the top of the board for himself. And Cameron Sarton going to be falling down to second place, just close to almost coming back there late in the run, but needed maybe another 2 or 3 more laps and might have been able to take the lead. Travis Dart going to be falling into third, with John Dart in fourth. The Dart brothers third and fourth, good run for themselves. Ross Tatum stealing away a 5th place finish. Will Bustler up to 6th. Cedric Hunter down to 7th for the 7 machine. And Campbell 8th. 9th is Zach Hall, and Brandon Colley, I think, was hoping for a better run, but he'll take a 10th place finish here tonight.
Yeah, I think he'll be upset, but happy at least to get out of there with the top 10, especially after the moment he had at turn number 4. You look further on down there, Andrew Medlin, just kind of an up and down night for that 12 machine all the way down there in 11th. The 3 Texas speed guys all nose to tail down there, 12th through 14th with Tony Brent, Jonathan Burt, David McConnell. Harris Gerwitz down there in 16th position with a great run for himself in the 91 machine, along with Philip Chavez, who was kind of in the back all night long. Curtis Valechka with a top 20 run down there in 19th, a great run for himself, surviving all the chaos late in that run. Ryan Lynch with the 2-tire strategy didn't work out for the 3 machine. He goes from leading at one point on one of the restarts all the way down to 21st. Chris Stitz we saw with William Duff, Chris Melton, all caught up in one of those wrecks along with Brandon Pierce, Christopher Norris, all involved in incidents down there from about 23rd all the way to 27th. And Alex Jones and Jay Becker are our first 2 casualties of the night early on in this race around lap 5, all the way down there in 28th and 29th.
A lot of drivers that were struggling early on get caught up, wrecked, and out of this race, but they all get prepared after a 1.5-mile race here at Las Vegas, the final race of the regular season. Richmond next week should be a good one. Cameron Sarton's been the odds-on favorite when you think about Richmond. We've also seen Ken Campbell be quick there, Zach Hall, and what speed will Brian McCann bring here for next week's race for the Full Send Racing Series? Well, for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us. We got more racing coverage throughout the week. Tomorrow night, it's the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, as they're starting off their first race of 2 in the championship round. They're going to have themselves 6 drivers hunting for the Season 7 championship, as Homestead will be the first race of that championship round. Then on Thursday, Rockingham, the destination for race number 17 of the Stars and Stripes season. Don't want to miss that, as the short tracks have been a difficulty for Stars and Stripes. How will the drivers handle the rock? Let's find out then. And then we take the weekend off, but Monday, don't want to miss it. We're crowning a champion, as the ISRC Lyra Productions Truck Series get ready for their last race of the season. Who will grab the championship? We're going to find out Monday night before we're right back here for Richmond. Trevor, certainly a lot of great racing action, but man, Brian McCann once again on top here this tonight.
Yeah, once again, proving to be dominant in his rookie season, capturing that 5th win here. But we go short track racing next week, the cutoff race to make it into the playoffs. Drivers on the outside looking in, looking to get that win. I expect a lot of aggression when we get to Richmond next weekend, Sam.
It certainly should be a good one. Who's willing to risk it all to make it into the playoffs? Well, to find out, because we've got a lot of drivers that are going to be in a must-win scenario. But for us here tonight, thank you so much for joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Tuesday night, giving you coverage of the Full Send Racing Series. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart, Robin Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us. We will see you next week. Richmond, who's in, who's out? It's going to be a good one. But tomorrow night, WSSR, Homestead, the first race of the championship round, is going to be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.